practice of Srila Prabhupada, we'll begin with a little song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, evoking the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari. Kunja Bihari means he who enjoys with Radharani and the other gopis in the gardens and sylvan places of Vrindavan. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari. He's very beloved of the gopis, all of the cowherd damsels. Giri Varadhari. He lifts the hill, the best of hill Govardhan. This is recalling that pastime. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. He's the beloved child of Yashoda, Mata, Braja Jana Ranjana. And he delights and takes delight in all of the residents of Vrindavan. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. And he loves to perform pastimes in the forests on the bank of the Yamuna River. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, Hare Krishna everybody. Welcome to the weekly Krishna Fest at the SanDiego New Govardhan Temple. Hold on a minute. Sorry, I'm getting a little older, forgetting things. And it is okay. This is Sunday, January 6th, 2019. And tonight I'd like to go back to basics in a way and then go from there. So we're going to be reading first from Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. Chapter 15, the Yoga of the Supreme Person. And in this chapter, Krishna has a nice little summary of the process of transmigration of the soul. So we'll read text number 8. Some of you may be able to respond. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shariram yadavapnoti yatchapyut kramatishvaraha grihitvaita nisanghati Vayu Gandhani Bhashayat. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. I'll read this short purport. Here the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade, and if he likes, he can move to a lower class. Minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends upon him. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on to the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or dog, he is sure to change to a cat's or dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It is a false claim that after the annihilation of this body, everything is finished. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are the background of his next body. One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. It is stated here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or the hard struggle for existence. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Midatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So, Krishna's statements here in the 15th chapter, and there's several other verses describing this process of transmigration, are predicated on our understanding of what he's already spoken, especially in the second chapter. The second chapter is entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, and there's a 20-verse lesson on the soul there, from text 11 through text 30. And in that section, Krishna reiterates again and again the distinction, the difference between the soul and the body, between ourselves and our physical body and also subtle body. The first thing you learn practically when you walk through the door of the Harekrishna temple, you're not that body. You're not that body. What does that mean? Because who else could I be? If I get out my wallet or my purse and I look at the license plate or license that's been issued to me, there's my picture there, there's my date of birth, my address probably, the color of my eyes sometimes, your weight, so that they can identify that this is actually you. But the Bhagavad Gita says no, all of that doesn't really describe you. It simply describes this ever-changing, temporary body. The soul is eternal, the body is temporary. The body is not nahanyate hanyamane sharire. How many times did Srila Prabhupada quote that, just one line from the 20th verse, which is kind of the pivot verse of that whole section. When the body is slain, the soul is not slain. Then what happens to us? What determines where we go, or what our next body is going to be? That's explained here. We're developing our next body right now. Everything we do, everything we think, everything we eat, all of our experiences of the senses and the mind in this body that we're undergoing is determining our destiny. We have some experience of this even without understanding transmigration. Why is it that parents are so concerned about their children's education, about who they hang out with, about what habits they're developing? Because they know that in this one life, whether they do their homework or not, whether they get into the wrong crowd and get into drugs or not, whether a million different things, influences, parents or responsible parents know that this is going to determine the good or bad destination in this one life of my child. So, so on a larger scale, it works from body to body. This is the first lesson that we have to learn, and it's one that we can't understand by our own experience or by our own ratiocination or logic, because it's beyond the ken. None of us can remember, I assume, our previous life, and none of us can see the transmigration going on, because you can't see the soul, you can't measure it, you can't understand it. So this is where the authority of the what we call the Shastra, revealed scripture, and those who have understood and realized the truth of the scripture comes in. Yes, there is some faith involved, but when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Why is it that people are born in all different circumstances? One child is born with the proverbial silver spoon in his mouth or her mouth, and the other child is born on the street somewhere, or in a country that so many horrible things will happen from very birth. The existence is fraught. Is it just throw of the dice? Is it just luck? No. There's no accidents. Everything is determined by intelligence, higher intelligence. This is the first lesson of Bhagavad Gita. Now, clearly, when it's extremely complex, just think in terms of karma. Every so often, every day, we hear of something going on, usually some horrific accident or something going on, war happening here or there. Occasionally, it's a very wonderful thing that happens that we hear. Recently, we were aware of, most of us who are devotees, there was an accident, a horrific accident right near the Alachua temple that we have. We have a big rural community in northern Florida, near Gainesville, called Alachua. There's over 700 devotees there. And there's the big highway that runs right next to it, nearby, is I-75. And there was recently this horrific accident. 2 big trucks collided, and there was a big explosion, and so much fuel was ignited. And tragically, there was a van driving some children to Disney World from a church community, and 5 out of 8 of them were killed. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. And at the same time, practically, one of our devotees there was killed, not on I-75, but another road, on a motorcycle accident. So, how do what causes these things to happen? In other words, is it just an accident, or is there some guiding hand that's putting you in a situation, good or bad? And this is what Krishna describes again and again. There's something called the law of karma. As you act, you get a good or bad result. And again, we have that experience in our own lives without any transmigration. But there's a larger scheme of things that is overseen by the Lord. Krishna says, Maya Jakshena Prakriti, by my oversight. Krishna describes he's in the heart of everyone as the super soul. He's knowing our innermost thoughts. You see how they're trying to imitate that with Google, to find out what sites you're visiting, and the NSA building this huge thing in Utah so that they can monitor everything that you call. So they want to know where you are, what you're thinking, where you're going. They're trying to imitate the super soul. It's a big sin. They can't do it, though they think they can. But there is a super soul, or Paramatma, or oversight, supreme intelligence that is guiding everything. Otherwise, how does it work so amazingly? Our very bodies are practically astounding miracles of organization and precise. 98.6 Fahrenheit is the temperature. If you get a little hotter than that, I got a fever, I got to lie down. You get a little colder, oh no, and then freezing cold. You know what I'm saying? How is that being regulated so nicely? You know how hard it is to regulate your heat in your home nicely. Somebody had to build it. Somebody had to arrange it, isn't it? So that's just one little aspect of our organism. So intuitively, it seems that there should be an intelligence. And Bhagavad Gita reiterates again and again and again, yes, there is a supreme intelligence in every atom. The super soul, an expansion of Krishna, supreme knowledge is there in every atom. Now, in one sense, this is astounding and it's sobering, but it's also encouraging, because Krishna is not simply a neutral or not interested, uninterested, disinterested observer to all this. He has, we have a bond with him that's unbreakable. I was reading in the beginning of this chapter, beginning the 14th chapter, Krishna says, Sarva yonisha kunteya murti ek sambhavantena tasam brahma mohadyone aham bija pradakpita. That there's this huge thing called Brahman. Now, Brahman has different meanings. In this context, it means the complete material energy. Not just this one solar system or planet, but the whole thing. And into that material energy, I place these souls, these Atma, Sarva Yonishu. And they take up their place in different bodies, different forms, different species, just according to the previous karma. And then he says, Aham bija pradakpita. I am the father of all these living beings, not even just human beings. So this means that we're all brothers and sisters, every one of us. Not even just human beings, but certainly we should understand that. And our relationship can be real, can be understood when we recognize that Supreme Father. And He's concerned. He wants us to come back. It's just like, you hear about all the time, a kid grows up, gets an adolescent, gets in, this whatever association he's getting on the internet or that, and leaves home. He or she leaves home, goes wandering, goes to San Francisco or something. Oh my God, the parents are so concerned. Where's my little boy, my little girl? They may be 18 years old, but they're still little. And so they wander off. So the parents are saying, how can we contact them? Will they call, will they text? Will they write somehow contact? So they're always concerned that they would come back to the safety and care and loving embrace of the. But the children, they have their own ideas. No, they're so fuddy-duddies, I don't want to hang out with them anymore, I'm going to go with whatever they think. So we're like that. We've left the safety and the happiness of our home. How many times did Prabhupada write back home, back to Godhead? And we're wandering around as exiles in this place, trying to make a home here, but we can't. Because eventually it's all destroyed. Whether it's Paradise, California, or our little home here. There's disaster waiting, and eventually we all go through our little apocalypse, dying, leaving this situation and going who knows where. Here it's described according to your ideas and your mentality. So the purpose of this bhakti yoga system, of what Krishna teaches here, is that, all right, let's take a proactive view. Don't just wait for your death and going who knows where, but actually consciously develop a certain consciousness, a certain state of mind, so that you'll get the best future form. And then you'll take a step forward, or actually go all the way, back home, back to Godhead. Out of the realm of this material imprisonment. One of the names of the material energy? Durga. Who can say what Durga means? Roughly. Yes, the energy of the Lord, but Durga, you can't go. Durga means literally difficult to go or impossible to go. A prison house. Probably calls it a fort. We can't go out of here by our own understanding. We don't even know that we're in prison. The best prison is when you don't know you're in prison, right? This is like you think you're free, but you're actually in prison. So that's the situation we're in. But Krishna doesn't leave us in this state of ignorance. Like I say, He's concerned. So He comes personally, as He does with Bhagavad Gita, or He sends His emissaries, such as Srila Prabhupada or other great souls. There's a whole line of them, many, who are enlightened and who can give us light. Like I like to say before every class, I give so many classes here. Om jnana timarandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. Most people are completely ignorant of these things. They don't think about them. So I'm born in the darkness of ignorance. Timarandasya, blinded by ignorance. Jnanandana shalakaya. But literally what it means is that this guru, the spiritual master, he takes an instrument and applies the salve of knowledge. In other words, we sometimes have to have our eyes kind of pried open, because we want to stay in ignorance. He opened my eyes with this shalakaya, which is a medical instrument, and applied this. Oh, now I can see what's what. There's a phrase in Sanskrit called Shastra Chakshu. It means seeing oneself and the world and everything through the eyes of Shastra. Hare Krishna up there, we can hear you. Haribol. Haribol. Sorry. So, why do we need that? Because otherwise we're walking around blind. And we're bound to suffer. So, through knowledge, we can know how to act in such a way for truly our ultimate benefit. This word Shreya comes up again and again. In the beginning of this book, in the first chapter, of course it takes place on a battlefield. Many of you know that. And Arjun is suddenly struck with trepidation at being implicit, or complicit rather, in the death of his dear teacher, Dronacharya, his all-revered grandfather, Bhishma Dev, and so many other relatives, both blood relatives and friends, and on both sides. He suddenly sees the real nature of this battle, which is a fratricidal war, which is the most painful, where your friends and relatives is not just some anonymous enemy. So he doesn't want to fight. And he has all kinds of arguments why he shouldn't fight. From the Vedas, he argues. And then he goes into the second chapter, and Krishna is trying to encourage him to fight. And Arjun says, no, I don't see any benefit in fighting. These are all our worshipable gurus and everybody on the other side. I'd rather go to the forest and be a beggar. Plus, my main enemies are the sons of Dronacharya, led by Duryodhana. And if they die, I don't want to live. Just see how amazing that is, because they had tried to kill him and his brothers several times. But he was completely forgiving of that, so he's in it. But then he does something, the critical verse, where everything changes. Otherwise, it's just a conversation between a great warrior and his charioteer. Krishna is not saying anything transcendental at first. He's just encouraging from the point of view of a charioteer encouraging a kshatriya. Where does this cowardice, how did it come upon you? Get up and fight, like that. So he says, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichami tam dharma samudacheta. He says, my dear Lord, due to this weakness that's overcome me, my natural fighting abilities and qualities are being covered. Pahata svabhava, they've been taken. And so I'm approaching prichami tam dharma samudacheta. I'm asking you, on the part of myself, who am completely confused about dharma. What is the right thing to do? Yakshayakshyanashitam bruhitan me. Please tell me for certain, how I can achieve Shreya, my ultimate good. Shishyasteham, I'm your disciple now, not your friend. We're friends, but I'm in the role of a disciple. It means I'm questioning you as a guru, as the supreme guru, and you give me absolute knowledge. So the whole relationship changes. And right away Krishna chastises him. You fool! He didn't say it in so many words. He says, you're lamenting for what is not lamentable, namely the physical body. Such, speaking learned words. So that is not the argument of a real sage, a real wise person, real pundit. So that's what the guru does. By his strong words, he shocks the disciple. And with the strong words, it says in one verse, you can cut out or remove the strongly impacted material desires in the heart. Yes, chindandi. It's cutting. So from then on, Krishna is speaking about the soul, and then he's giving Arjun the means, the knowledge by which he can attain the Shreya or the Nikshreya, the ultimate good. What is the ultimate good? It's not just seeing your friends and relatives alive, which is what Arjun's motive was. There's a transcendental or a superior goal, and that is pleasing the Lord and doing the best thing for everybody. Even those who were killed on the battlefield were benefited highly by perishing in the presence of Krishna. They all attained their original forms in the spiritual world, Bhishma Dev said. And Arjuna himself, he serves in place of us. In other words, we're hearing the Bhagavad Gita, it's spoken to Arjuna, and we can hear and benefit just as much, because it's absolute knowledge. So the ultimate good is very simple. The ultimate good is to cast off all these bodies, to attain mukti. Mukti is liberation. But what is that mukti? Defined in the Bhagavad Purana. Muktir hitbanyata rupam swarupena vibhastati. Mukti is not just getting free of this body and merging into Brahman and not taking birth again. That's an illusion. Because we have an eternal form. We have a covered form now with these senses, but we know these are temporary. So underneath is real form, just like this kurta has arms, because I have arms. See? But this is also a coat. This physical body is also a coat. Vasangsi jirnana yata vihaya, Krishna says. So that means that I myself, as a spirit soul, have a form with senses and mind and everything spiritually that don't perish. So that's what this verse says in the Bhagavatam. Mukti hitvanyata rupam. All the other rupas, giving up all the other forms, of which this is one. We've done it already in this one body, Krishna describes. We were all children, we were all adolescents. A few of us here may still be adolescents, I don't know. But, and there's that rare, that coterie which is getting larger by the day of the old timers who are still coming, like myself. So the body's changed, completely changed. I can remember when I was 18, 17, 14, 13. I even have a few pictures. So now it's a different body, both the physical body and the mental body. I have a picture from my old high school yearbook, in a million years, I would have never dreamed I would become a Hare Krishna. There wasn't even any Hare Krishna. It was 1960. Hare Krishna was there in India, but not in America. Yeah. So my idea, my subtle body has changed. That's the mind, intelligence has changed. This gross body has certainly changed. So what hasn't changed? Me, the soul, right? Obviously. So this is called another body, anyata rupam. And be swarupena vivasati, to be situated in your swarup siddhi. There's a phrase for it. It means the perfection of discovering and living in your original form, and with your original ideas and your original consciousness, which is Krishna consciousness. Reawakening that relationship with Krishna. How to do it? Well, in this age, chiefly by chanting Hare Krishna. We all have to become yogis. This is, Krishna says, 6th chapter, become a yogi. You have to become a yogi, Arjun. Arjun says, I can't do this meditation. You want me to go off of course, Krishna never said go off to the mountains to do it, but he said that's what Arjun was going to originally do. But the idea is he's not suited for it. He's standing in for us. Just as, who here would think, well, yeah, I think I'll quit my job, leave my family and my home in SanDiego, and go off to Rishikesh and see if I can find a little corner in a cave somewhere and I'll start meditating. If anything, we'll think, yeah, maybe I'll go do some Hatha Yoga in the Logo studio. That's about it, right? I remember they used to bring, meditation. 15 minutes max, before the mind, the knees, there's so much distraction, there's no way you can. But you have to work, it's impossible. But still we have to be yogis. How can we do that? So the whole art of Bhakti Yoga is how you can be a yogi while still living in the world. You have a family, we have a job and everything, but you have to add Krishna. You have to see Krishna in your relationships, in your very work. Until you get to the point of kayena bacha manasindriyava buddhyatmanava anusata svabhava. Kadoti yadyat sakalam padasmai narayanayati samarpayeta. Does anyone else know this verse? Is this like a famous verse you're given as children or something? One friend of mine from India told me, yeah, this is a famous verse in India. So it's very simple. This is a verse that says, 11th canto, one of the exalted sons of Rishabdev called the Yogendras, he says, here's the ideal. With the activities of your body, kayena, your words, vacha, your mind, manasa, indriya, your senses, your intelligence, buddhya, whatever else you have, and physically and mentally and intellectually. What you have attained by your karma. Karoti yadyat sakalam parasmai. All activities of these, you feel, Narayanayati. This is I'm doing this for you, O Narayan. I'm doing this for you, O Krishna. This is an offering for you. You see? Samarpayeta, offering that way. Now, you can't just fake it. It has to really be an offering for Narayan. And that's the art, and that's why we need training, and that's why we need guru and shastra and discipline. Because right now, whatever we're doing with our body, mind, words, intelligence, etc., is all for us, for the false ego, or the extended ego. We're doing it for our children, we're doing it for our family, and like that, It's a little widened, but it's still part of the false conception, because that's also being blown away by the winds of time. All those relationships we were so concerned about, you see? They're also temporary. And that's part of the pain of being in the material world. You put so much energy into some relationship with persons or things or your property or your dog, you know, and then at a certain point it's broken. Either you have to leave or they have to leave or the whole thing is blown up or whatever. But it ends somehow. And what happened to all that love, all of that concern? This is traumatic. So the motto is, or the conclusion is, that we need to place our attention and our intelligence and effort in developing that relationship that will never be broken, that loving relationship. And that's with Krishna. And once we have that, begin to develop that relationship, we can know how to relate to everyone else. Because don't forget, they're all parts and parcels of Krishna. Previous verse, Mamai Vangso Jiva Loke Jiva Buddha Sanatana. All these living entities are my parts and parcel. It's eternally. But they're all struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind in this material world. And then comes the verse I just read tonight. So we want to break free from this bondage of the material world, and we want to reawaken ourselves to our relationship with God, which is there all the time. It's never been destroyed. It cannot be destroyed. But we can forget it. And we have. And so Srila Prabhupada came as Krishna's emissary, as Lord Chaitanya's emissary, to remind us. He would have so many conversations with newsmen, you know. I think it's London, why have you come? Why have you come? What have you come to teach? I've come to teach what you have forgotten. A famous line. We've all forgotten it. But that's, in one sense, that's good news. Because it means that it's something that's there already that can be revived. It's something that's already deep inside. And one of the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna, Lord Chaitanya gives, Vidyavadhu Jivanam, the life and soul of transcendental knowledge. So when you dedicate yourself seriously to chanting Hare Krishna, we had our kirtan, we'll have another one, but also on the beads, japa beads. There's these two. Lord Chaitanya showed, he also chanted japa. And he said, okay, all of you, I went to, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, he says, he gives the Hare Krishna mantra. Now all of you go home and chant a regular number of times, counting. So that's an important instruction. Because don't forget, it's the mind. The mind is now habituated to forgetting Krishna and thinking of sensual things here. So we need to train it. The mind is the source of the greatest bondage and the source of liberation. But once we understand the technique and the need for it, then we can apply it and we can start to feel the results of disentangling the mind from all of the things here, you know, in this world. It's possible to be in anxiety 24 hours a day. It's likely. All you have to do is read the news. Or listen to it. Or allow your friend to spend hours telling you about it. Isn't it? It's just like, but it's always been like that. It's always been like that. But we didn't have all the contact. Now that, you know, there's two edges, right? Oh, the internet. Oh, we can get our email all the time. But you ever notice how, my God, I've got so many emails? Used to be so peaceful. I remember when I was working on the Bhagavatam in Miami from 1983 to 1989, helping Gopi Vranadhana Prabhu and Radhananda Das Goswami complete the 10th, 11th, and 12th cantos. So there was we were just barely using computers. This was 83, you know. And they were useful, you know. But you know, if someone wanted to call me, they had to call on the landline. I got maybe one call every couple of days, you know. Hardly any mail. Bliss. You know, you have a whole morning program, chanting and hearing with devotees, hearing the Bhagavatam, going up, taking a little prasadam, go upstairs, get to work. Get the 10th canto, meditate on the pastimes of Krishna. Oh my God, I'm so thankful, you know. And that was, it was so easy then. Now it's like, oh, so many things, people from here, there, they have emergencies, you know. And it's all just, it's harder to focus. On the other hand, you know, you can attend Mangalartik in Mayapur, just hit the right strokes. You can see what's going on in Delhi. You know, you can be in the middle of Utah and go to Mangalartik in New Dwarka or New Govardhan. So there's also that side of it. So it's always like that in the material world. We have the opportunity to go this way or that way. We can cultivate the mode of ignorance, we can cultivate the mode of goodness or pure goodness. So this institution, Srila Prabhupada's books, and everything we do is meant to give us the reason, the motivation, and the means of actually leading the most auspicious path of life and going on it, which is that, again, achieving that purity of mind and purity of consciousness, so we'll really see Krishna everywhere, both in our heart and outside. And we'll want to work in such a way to further that relationship and give knowledge to others. When we see everyone as a friend, as a brother and sister, don't we want to give them something that'll help them in their life? That's really the Sankirtan mood. And we had a kirtan. Some of you were there for our Harinam Sankirtan on New Year's Eve. You know, I hadn't been down there in a while. So it's just, it's a madhouse on Fifth Avenue in downtown. And we had our party, I don't know, 15, 20 devotees chanting. Many people had never heard of us. This is unfortunate, this is our failure. But they were in a partying mood. They would chant, they would dance, they would chant a little harekrishna, and we would say, their life has become so auspicious just by one chanting. What to speak if you take it seriously in your life and you actually chant regularly. So my little message here is, please take this process seriously. If you have some books of Prabhupada, read them regularly, and take up the process. When I started, I chanted 2 rounds a day, read a little Bhagavad Gita, and then went off to work. I was working in a hospital. I was trying to chant while I was working on the patients, trying to project a mantra. I had all kinds of ideas. Song. But that was very enlivening, and it got me to the point where I really wanted to do more, and I was frustrated, and eventually I gave it all up and just moved in. You don't have to do that, but the point is to integrate Krishna consciousness seriously in your life. So I wanted to share with you, after we entertain any questions or comments. Today is a special day. In the Vaishnava calendar, every few days you have celebrations of the disappearance or appearance of great acharyas and so on. So this happens to be the appearance anniversary of Lochan Das Thakur. And he wrote a song which he's most famous for, perhaps in ISKCON, and that is Parama Karuna. And if there are some comments or questions, we can entertain them now. Do we have the mic keyed up? There it is, sitting over there. If any of us has questions on these points, it's a simple point. We're all spirit souls. We're connected to Krishna. We're part and parcel of Krishna. We have an eternal relationship with Him. Don't waste this human form of life. It's only one form of many, many forms. Investigate this process of Krishna consciousness and take it up seriously if you feel inspired. And we're here for you. We have classes 3 nights a week. Bhagavad Gita classes, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, from 7:15 to 8:15. Then we have a little kirtan, nice prasad. You're all invited, no cost. Thursday, we have the lounge program, a lot of kirtan, good free prasadam, and nice sangha. And Friday night, at least once a month, we're going out on Harinam. You're certainly welcome to come. Saturday night, we have our satsang program here. And Sunday night, you're here. So every night of the week, you're welcome to come. And if you're really serious, you can come in the morning. 4:30. Okay, maybe it's a little too much. Any comments or questions on these points? Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to get the mic activated.
Thank you.
Haribol.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you.
Okay, good.
But
thank you.
Keep it close.
Thank you for the lecture. You had mentioned how Krishna urges Arjuna to become a yogi, and you were talking about how, we don't have to go to the mountain and off to the Himalaya somewhere and meditate, and we all have families, or many of us have families, and so you were talking about how the art of yoga can actually be applied to our lives.
Right.
And but then you also mentioned how our families, can be sort of an extension of our false ego. So can you maybe clarify a little bit further about how we can actually get to know Krishna, or develop our relationship with Krishna, which is what you were emphasizing,
right,
more through our families, because we're not going off to the Himalayas?
Yeah. Well, the idea is that whatever facility we have or situation we have in this material world can be used to further our illusion, or if it's done correctly according to established rules and regulations, can actually further our relationship with Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada, when he first came, of course he himself was a sannyasi, means he's a renunciant, and it is that's the right word, not renunciate. Which he had left his family, took traditional sannyas, and it facilitated his preaching and traveling, obviously. But right away he saw, especially when he went to San Francisco, but he performed a marriage in New York. There was Mukunda and Janaki were married in New York. I don't know if there was any other marriages yet, but in San Francisco, the people came as couples. So he saw right off, well, I'm going to have to introduce this Grahastha ashram, which is perfectly bona fide, but it is an ashram. So it's family life, but with Krishna in the center, where there are so many rules and regulations about what you eat, about relations between men and women, about how to raise the children and so forth, with basically keeping Krishna in the center and understanding that the goal of life can still be pursued even in that situation, because that's life. Most people are in that situation. So it's not a disqualification. And he would point out in many lectures, I listen to the lecture every day, that most of Lord Chaitanya's followers were Grahasthas. Even the great acharyas and incarnations like Advaita Acharya, Nityananda, with Srivas Thakur, they were all family men. And their families were all Krishna conscious. So the point is that it doesn't have to be a distraction or a blind well, so to speak, but it takes effort. In other words, we have to get serious about this mission of human life. And in any situation we find ourselves, we need to make it establish it as an auspicious environment for Krishna consciousness. It's not, you have the freedom. It's your apartment. You can put this picture up on the wall of that picture. You can listen to this music or that music. And you read this book or that book. So, you go into some of the wonderful, my friends in Nalachua, and their whole house, the pictures are all the deities there and paintings of Krishna, and it's very clean, and there's a little altar room, and there's a beautiful deities bow down, I've given programs in so many houses there. So it facilitates one's Krishna conscious, and the children who grow up in that atmosphere are the most fortunate children in the world. So on the other hand, it can also be a distraction, which it is for the vast majority people. They have no idea, so that's also there. But the whole thing is, with the knowledge and the determination, one can transform one's life in any circumstance. And that's what Srila Prabhupada came to give. That's why ahoitikiya patayata. It means that there can be no impediment for this selfless devotional service to Krishna, if one is determined and he has the knowledge to do it. That's the idea. Okay. So should we sing this song? All right. So we're not going to do the Bengali, because some of you may not know Bengali. And you certainly won't understand my Bengali pronunciation. So I put it into English. I'll clap. So it goes like this. Let's see. Super compassionate are these two golden lords, Nittai Gaurachandra. They are the best of lords, quest jewels of avatars, founts of pure bliss and deep wonder. Oh friends, just worship them, Chaitanya Nittai, fixing your mind with firm faith. Give up all sense pleasure, dive in the sea of bliss, chant Hari Hari today. Super compassionate are these two golden lords, Nittai Gaurachandra. They are the best of lords, quest jewels of avatars, founts of pure bliss and deep wonder. Brothers and sisters within the three worlds, there is no one as kindly as they. Even the birds, stones, and animals weep in bliss when they hear talks of their traits. Super compassionate are these two golden lords. Nitai, Gaurachandra. They are the best lords, crest jewels of avatars, found so pure bliss and deep wonder. And listen to what I say, if you do not attain any desire for their service, Yama will punish you, causing you endless pain. This is what Lord Chanda says. Super compassionate are these two golden lords, Nitai, Gaurachandra. They are the best of lords, crest jewels of avatars, found so pure bliss and deep wonder. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo. Sorry, the key was a little high. So there you have it. Anyone wants my poetry, just write to me at Dravida 108 and Gmail. Dravida 108. I have other little things here. Here's one little one. I'll end with this and then I'll have a kirtan. From the Krishna Karnamrita number 2, I bet you didn't know that there were 3 of them. Krishna Karnamritas. So this one is not in the one that was so famous, but Kinkini Kinkana Dabasat Angana Muvadinkadai Sadatantam Kunkunu Kunkuna Padayugalam Kankanakadabu Shadim Hidim Vande. I bow to Hari, whose waist bells tinkle as he crawls in his father's yard. His bangles and ankle bells softly jingle as he melts Vrindavan's heart. There you have it. Okay, one more of those. Somebody sudabina mamba maya sanayanta manoryam team lamba lakamabalambe tambadam tunabalagna jambalam. His mother grows tired while chasing her son as he runs among the cows. I ever take shelter of a cowherd boy who's muddy from the pasture's ground. Because this is running from Mother Yashoda, and he's very, has kids, they can really run fast, and she's trying to follow him. So he can run under the cows. She can't. But when he does it, sometimes he trips, he falls into the milky mud. It's all milky from there. And so he gets mud all over him. That's what the Jambala is mud, Jambalam. So, there you have it. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Uh-oh.